Welcome to another edition of In the Trenches with Doug Skene. We're breaking down the Michigan State game, not having any fun doing it, but there are a couple plays that we want to talk about. Here we are, 11:35 of the first quarter. Davion Smith gets stuffed because the line doesn't block well, but also because Michigan State does something nice here defensively.
They sure do, and so this is our first running play from scrimmage here. I think it was the first or second, I can't remember. It's 2nd and 15, so we're starting off with just a little base power play to the left here. There is no lead block here. So you got three blockers, the center, left guard, and left tackle to block the one technique, the defensive end, and the front side linebacker. The problem that happens for Michigan here is the defensive end at the top of the screen slants or sparks to the inside B gap, and that front side linebacker scrapes off the edge. The problem gets compounded with our center, left guard, and right tackle all playing too high and not getting a push, especially at the one technique with Glasgow and Braden being too high. So give credit to Michigan State for calling a nice little run blitz here, a little scrape game, and Michigan has to be lower to get more power to get some more push. That's why this play goes nowhere.
Doug, here we are, 7:41 of the first quarter, and Jordan Lewis had 6 pass breakups in this game, matched up with Aaron Burbridge. And here's a type of play that we just haven't seen the last couple of years of a tight press man and getting his job done.
This is exactly what defensive coordinators and fans should love to see, is when you can take their best receiver and lock him up man-to-man and cause problems and be all over him. You can do so many things differently on the defensive side of the ball. This is lockdown coverage. This is press man, maul the wide receiver style of coverage that Michigan State made popular a couple of years ago. And this style of defense allows all kinds of flexibility. Lewis does an outstanding job here. He's all over Burbridge. The only thing that he might be criticized on here, he's just a little bit late to turn his eyes around. But heck, this is an incompletion because there's nowhere for Burbridge to catch the football. You know, these guys are taught, look at the eyeballs, press the inside, take away the inside hip, press the inside, and when his eyeballs go up, then you turn around and find the ball. But I can't criticize Lewis here. He's all over him like a blanket, and that's why it's an incomplete.
Doug, here we are, 1:59 left in the first quarter. They motion Chesson on a fly jet sweep. This draws the attention of the defense, and then they hand off to Huma, who has a big play here.
Well, it's jet left, 20 trap. And I don't know what Michigan calls it, but it's just an inside trap. They're going to trap that free technique over the right shoulder of the right guard. The right guard's going to go to the Mike linebacker, center's going to block back, and Braden's going to pull and kick. But because of the jet motion and the success Michigan has had with jet sweep, the whole defense is keying on that, and they're also keying on Smith heading to the left edge. No one's paying attention to Huma, who hits the A gap, the right A gap, right off the right guard's trap block, and there he goes up the middle. That's old school football. It's one of the oldest plays there is, the inside trap play to the fullback. It's great, and we'll probably see more of that against even fronts with wide free techniques.
14:24 of the second, Doug, and a naked bootleg that Jake Rudock makes a really nice play on.
He does an outstanding job here, and again, with success of running the football, you can have success running the naked boot. The entire offensive line is zone block left, showing play action, running action here. Rudock is going to fake the handoff and naked boot out to hit the offensive right. His first read is to hit the front side tight end in the flat, which is butt. They got him covered. Rudock does a nice job of extending the play a couple more steps and finding his backside front route, which is Chesson, who came across the middle at the linebacker level, and Chesson does a nice job of not crowding the front side route to butt. He slows down just a little bit, find the open window, settle in there, catch.
Doug, 11:41 of the second, and Michigan State runs a similar to like the jet sweep, has Aaron Burbridge coming across the formation, and Michigan's defense, Chris Wormley, Royce Jenkins-Stone, and Jabril Peppers really stuffed this one.
This is Michigan State's version of the jet sweep. Quarterback's going to catch the ball, flip it forward, which is technically a pass. That way, in case it's dropped, it's an incompletion. The Michigan defense does an outstanding job of owning the front in the line of scrimmage here, with Wormley taking their first tight end, number 11, and pushing him backwards like he's on roller skates. They try to cut block Jenkins-Stone on the edge. That doesn't work. He dismisses that cut block, comes up and swallows Burbridge alive. Peppers is unblocked, And late in the play here, you just see Wormley just throwing this tight end into the sideline, and it's well defended. This play had no chance for Michigan State because it was so well defended front side, and this is the impact you can have when your defensive line owns the line of scrimmage.
Doug, 7:15 in the second quarter, Michigan State scores a touchdown right after a controversial targeting call on Joe Bolden. But what we want to point out in this play is, there's not much you can do when your Buck linebacker is getting held on the edge like Michigan's Royce Jenkins-Stone is.
Michigan State runs the old Buck sweep here where you're pulling both of the right guard and left guard. The right guard, Clark here, has got the front side kick-out block, but it's not really a kick-out block as much as it is a grizzly bear mauling, with his arms going around both sides of the defender here, Stone, just getting eaten alive. That's about as blatant as a holding call as you're going to see in the Big Ten, but that's not called, and it's not unusual in a Michigan State game to see blatant, terrible holdings that aren't called. And let's be honest, it goes both ways. And over the seasons, we've seen holding calls not go called in this rivalry game. But this one's bad. And the line judge should have called holding on Ellen, but he didn't. And then the backside guard just gets around for the front side plumber, which is the first man of opposite color, and he just gets enough of them. And it's just a well-blocked play, but it certainly has helped when Clark, the right guard from Michigan State, just comes out and rips the jersey off of a Jenkins-Stone, and that's why that one goes in there so easily.
Doug, second half, 14-15, early on in the third quarter. Davion Smith gets a 9-yard run. This is well blocked for the most part, and I didn't notice this, but you have something to point out about the center-nose tackle relationship there.
Well, this is a variation of the 20 trap that we talked about earlier. It's the same trap scheme up front. The left guard's going to pull and block the free technique. Center's going to block back. Right guard is escaping inside to the Mike linebacker. The center's job is to block back to get a little movement on that one technique, or the zero shade, some people call it that. When he comes back, though, the defensive lineman's got his left hand up in the face mask of our center. So, you can criticize Glasgow for being a little high here, but it's hard to be low when a guy's got your face mask and is wrenching your head back. And of course, the back judge is standing there staring at the play and doesn't do a thing. And this happens sometimes. And as an offensive lineman, when this happens, on the next play, I'm going right for that guy's throat. I'm going right for his throat, because if you're not going to call it, then that's fine. Game on. Your throat's coming out on the next play. And that's how that stuff goes on in the middle of a football game, in the interior. But this play is just a simple 20 trap. It's well executed. We get the edge blocked, we get the linebacker blocked, and that's why this thing goes for a nice game.
Well, Doug, we saw some Jabril Peppers on offense, and here his first touch as a Michigan Wolverine goes for about 28 yards on a jet sweep to the left with some great blocking out front.
Well executed blocking up front with Poggi, Mason Cole, and Devion Smith all securing their block. Smith gets the kick block to the edge. Cole and Poggi seal block. The left guard, Braden, blocks down in the nose, and that allows the center to pull to the edge. The key to this play here is the middle linebacker. If Kyle Kalis can get to that middle linebacker, then Glasgow doesn't have to turn and take that block, and maybe he gets down to the next level and they walk in. But it's important to note that's a very, very difficult block to pull off, where you're asking the right guard to go get to the middle linebacker to cut him off. Very, very difficult to do, and most of the time those guys, whether it's Kalis or anybody else in America, don't get that block. So then they're taught to turn backside and peel back to the next one so you don't get called for a block in the back. But by and large, this is a well-executed play. Great blocking on the front side, and you get down to the sideline, and we almost walk in.
All right, Doug, 3:20 of the third quarter. Michigan at the 8-yard line, hoping to score. They get called for a holding call on Ben Braden that, as you say, technically is a hold, but in practical reality here, probably should not have been called.
Well, simple little slide left protection. The back goes over to the right to pick up blitz responsibility. Cole is the one that loses his block here because his head goes down and he bends at the waist a little bit, playing against a great player. And by the rule of the law, I think that you could probably say, yep, I think that Braden here impeded that defender's ability to get to the quarterback by grabbing him. And so, yeah, the guy in the white hat is correct. That's technically holding. But the guy in the white hat also should have had the great vantage point early in the game when Clark, the right guard from Michigan State, goes out and absolutely eats Royce Jenkins Stone for lunch and swallows him alive and doesn't call anything. And this is an example of how terribly and horribly this game was officiated. Another piece of evidence. It was terrible.
Doug, for our final play of In the Trenches, unfortunately a -1, 9:25 to go in the fourth quarter, and this is the 74-yard play to the fullback where he sneaks out. Nice play design, but Michigan loses track of him.
Well, it's a pretty complicated and a heavy misdirection play here by the Michigan State offense. They're going to pull two offensive linemen in different directions. The right guard is going to pull to the left edge of the offense, and the center is going to go underneath him to lead the block over on the front side edge. This causes, you'll see the Michigan defenders on the bottom half of the screen are seeing play action to their right. It sucks the whole side of the defense off to the bottom of the screen. And then at the top, the fullback, it looks like he's just going for a front side edge block because you're pulling a center out there too. It looks like just a little sweep, almost like to the quarterback. Unfortunately, we lose track of the fullback who sneaks out behind us, and now we're chasing from behind. And the one thing I would say is, this kind of thing happens. They hadn't seen this play the whole game, and they have this wrinkle for a game that they hold back, and they run this kind of play, and it causes problems. But my beef is, you know what, Hill, when you get down to the 10-yard line, go down there on the guy's ankles, tackle him at the 10, and let's line up and play football inside the 10-yard line and see what happens. Instead, we're doing this half, swinging at the ball thing, and the guy carries you another 8 yards into the end zone. Just make the tackle.
All right, well, that is this episode of In the Trenches. Unfortunately, we're not talking about a Michigan win. We will be back in 2 weeks, hopefully to talk about a Michigan win over Minnesota in the Little Brown Jug game.
Go Blue. Michigan's going to be back. Everything's going to be fine. And this team and this program are heading in a great direction.